He is the convener of Africa Future Leadership Conference and Awards. We're talking about no other person than Ambassador Mark Idiahi. Let's put our hands together for him. Please, you can be on your feet while he makes his way. Let's appreciate him. A standing ovation, please. A standing ovation for a man of impact and vision. He's very humble, though.
Okay, maybe you take this off? I can make do with this. Thank you. Can you high five somebody sitting beside you and said, I'm glad you made it? Just high five the person. Oh my goodness. You could have been somewhere else doing something else, but you chose to be here. That already puts you in a class of your own. Can you just clap for yourself, please? Yeah. I've always insisted that there's a nexus between the economy of nations and leadership. I've always believed that. A couple of months ago, I visited a dear friend, and we had this heated conversation. I used to be very bitter about this country, and I would go on Facebook and social media and would just rant, and I was having fun. So on this occasion, we started talking about the deplorable situation in the country and the lacuna that has been created as a result of lack of transformational leadership. And she said to me, I used to be there. And the person in question, some of you can relate with her. Her name is Pastor Grace Ofure. She's the MD, CEO of Lifecard Real Estate Investment. And she said to me, I used to be so cynical like you. But I realized that if I go on like that, my anger will blind me to the opportunities that are inherent in this country. And she went on to explain some things. And she said to me, irrespective of what may be going on in this country and in Africa, by extension, there is something called the law of exemption. Somebody say the law of exemption. We may live in the same country and the same continent, but some people are just somehow not feeling the heat. So I couldn't for the life of me understand how you can be in the same country just as I am, and you're having the guts to look at me in the eyes, and you will tell me that there's such a thing known as the law of exemption. So I beseech her to tell me more about it. And she said, this is how it works. When you catch a vision that aligns with the divine, God, by virtue of that, will inoculate you from whatever lacuna in leadership, whatever trouble, trauma that is bequeathed to the nation as a result of some policies that are not right. That really got to me, and I pondered on that for some time. So I left her that day, and I made up my mind that I was now going to start focusing on how I can be a problem solver, a solution provider, and what I could do to make a difference. I made up my mind that when it all said and done, it was not going to be said of me that I was among the chronic, pessimists, people who all their lifetime were so critical of what could have been, should have been, and would have been. So I started looking at what I could do differently. That was what made me, with my team, to intensify my effort in what we now do. We've come a long way. This is the 9th edition. And some people, some of my friends that have been there, done it, have actually abandoned it. Because, like one very reverend pastor said, he said he has given up on the possibility that things can ever work. I can understand. I pretty much can understand. When you look at all that is going on, it's almost as if things get worse. And when we have this president who will say is so bad and he doesn't have it going intellectually, doesn't have the moral rectitude to navigate the vicissitude, And by the time he leaves, somebody else comes on board. The other person looked like a saint. We're almost wishing, oh, can we bring him back? Why? Why is that? That is why I said that there is a nexus between leadership and the economy of nations. The theme for this year's edition is Africans for Africa. We are still being summoned by the Western world. You know, just like you send your student to boarding school, and every now and then the teacher calls you and said your son misbehaved in school, you have to summon him. That's how we are being summoned. The narration has been so bastardized. They will say that if you wanted to keep anything from the black man, put it in the book. You know, Africa is a dark continent. In my lifetime, I envision an enviable continent where the young people will no longer have to seek some green pasture somewhere. I'll take you on a little journey. Stay with me. Please, can you give me the next slide? Because I'm not flowing with this one. In 2008, my only biological brother, younger brother, looked at me in the face and he said he was going to, by all means, Japa. I did all I could to persuade him not to go on that journey, because why in the world would a young person embark on a journey through the Mediterranean Sea, the desert? It doesn't make sense to me. So I tried to lobby him, try to reach a consensus like a bargain. You don't have to do this because we can do a whole lot over here. And he said, look at my mom. Look at you. If I could just embark on this trip, just give me a few months, few years, I can get busy with some. I'm not saying that I'm going to get involved with some illicit business or whatever, but with as much effort that I'm putting in here, if I put it over there, I can come back with something substantial. You know, when people make up their mind, you really cannot stop them. So his mind was made up. And he embarked on that journey in the year 2008. And he never made it alive. This edition is dedicated to my younger brother. I pondered on it. I said to myself, at least he wanted to do something. He wanted to do something. So, a few days ago, I asked my mother to send me his picture. I look at his picture, so I can't barely see his face now because it's been over 16 years. I wanted to show his face on the screen, and I'll let you know that I'm truly proud of him. The fault was never his. It was never his. I had the opportunity to travel to tour some European countries. Last June, I went to Venice, Germany, and some other African countries. When I got to Germany, the people I visited cleared one of the rooms and said, you know you can't go back, right? You shouldn't even think about it. And I slept for 2 nights. I was thinking about this. I said to myself, is this how it has to be? Don't get it twisted. There's nothing wrong with traveling. But traveling should not be an escape. It shouldn't be an escape. It has to be choice. But you see, when a man is pushed to the precipice where he doesn't have options and choices, he will most likely break the entire laws in the book, throw caution to the wind because he wants to survive. Survival is a strong thing. Have you ever seen a man who said he was going to commit suicide and get into the waters? And somehow, some rescue mission, the paramedics came and they tried to rescue him. And once he was able to get a hold of something, he struggled, tried to keep his head above the waters. It was then it dawned on him that truly, it wasn't death that he wanted. He didn't want to die. There's no sane person, nobody I don't care how suicidal you have been. There's nobody who have had the opportunity to make something significant out of his life or her life that would choose to die. Nobody does that. The next slide, please. Well, recently I was interviewed by a TV station. I was asked how we have managed to keep this going for 8 years. In response, I hinted that we simply have chosen to become chronic optimists. Margaret Mead, in her quotes, asked a question. Can any group, anybody, ever bring about a change in a hopeless scenario just like we may have? She said, yes, it is possible. But this has to be people that have simply chosen to be what I call chronic optimists. That in spite of the mind-numbing situation, in spite of all that we may have going wrong, that something can still go right. So if you focus on what is not working, if you focus on the government and the policies that is not working, you'll be stagnated because you can't do anything. So your destiny is not to sit on the fence. I say to people all the time, the worst enemy of evil, the worst enemy of good rather, is not evil. The worst enemy of good, the worst enemy of good is not evil. The worst enemy of evil is indifference. Just sitting there somewhere as a bystander and not willing to take action to make a difference. In 2015, Nigeria noticed an all-time high voters' apathy. We didn't believe that election could ever count. So there was no need. You would talk to people and they would tell you like, there's no point because it won't count. But we saw what happened during the last election, right? People came out en masse, but somehow the hope was dashed again. So what has become obsession about this? The passion to chart a new course and retells Africa's story. Imagining a continent where the young population will no longer seek to escape. Yes, you heard me right. Japa is simply another word for escape. Escape, to escape. I saw them in Europe. I saw the kind of job they do. I saw the insecurity. And I said to myself, if these people have this much opportunity with a functioning system, they could be much more better over here. So the prosperity and the well-being of the citizen of any nation is hinged on the type of leadership that they have. So like I hinted, there is a nexus between leadership and the economy and the prosperity of any nations. So my recommendations. The next one, please. Number one, leaders have to become intentional about prioritizing national interest and promote transparency and foster a culture of integrity. If I have time, I would love to deep dive on this. Number two, citizens have a role to play. You cannot afford to be indifferent. You would never be able to change the status quo. And I say to people all the time, young people, when I have the opportunity, that power is not given. Power cannot be given. Nobody's going to bequeath this thing to you. You have to show that you're ready. By your action and your disposition, you just have to show that you're ready. So demand accountability and participate in governance. Maybe for the large part because they say that politics is dirty. And I've always debunked that. Politics is not dirty. It is people that bring their dirtiness to politics. I told them during the interview a few days ago at STV, and I said, this is the conidron. This is the situation. You see a man who is aspiring for a leadership position and he speaks so well and you applaud him and you can almost vouch for him and say, you know what? This man is going to bring the needed change. But once they get into the office, it's almost as if there's something in the office that corrupts them and turns them into some kind of beast. I don't get it. Institutions, we have to strengthen policies and mechanisms that promote transparency, accountability, and ethical leadership. Next slide, please. Now, here is what I recommend as a call to action. Next slide. Do you have the next slide? You skip that. Anyway, say to somebody close to you, get involved. You have to be involved. I see a lot of young people. The other day we were in Unilag, and I said to the people that were with me, these guys are so zealous and passionate. Look at how they're going about. And some of them may think, well, let me just get out of this place and get a job. And I said, they have no idea. They may not know what they're about to face out there. They don't have a clue. Way back, we wanted to graduate then, get a job. If you're still in school and that is what drives you, that's the motivation to come out and get a job, you're on a long term, a very long one. And I must tell you, I said to my son, you have to be in school and be able to create something while in school to sustain yourself in school. So what's the essence of going to school and you have to wait for that long so that you can come out and get a job? So my recommendation and call to action is get involved. There's something that we can all do. In our lifetime, Africa will be an enviable destination of choice. In our lifetime, Nigeria will truly be a great nation that we can all be proud to call our own. We have very profound speakers. These are not people that you just get to meet in every place. But they are here today to take us on a journey. It might stretch for some time, but I said to someone, we have made sacrifice. We put in so much to have this. You have to make a sacrifice, the sacrifice of your time. The temptation could be there to stand up and just walk away. But make up your mind that this will make a difference in your life. Make up your mind that when it's all said and done, you will leave here and catch that vision to make a significant impact in your generation so that you can always be remembered as someone who came and made a difference. God bless you.